Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Movies In Focus podcast. I'm Niall Brown. On this episode, I'm joined by Kimball Farley, the star and co-writer of the new offbeat indie film, Hippo. Directed by Mark H. Rapaport, Hippo is a black and white coming-of-age story set in the 1990s that explores the lives of two step siblings. The film's quirky tone, reminiscent of the films of Wes Anderson, is complemented by Eric Roberts' excellent voiceover, which adds depth to the narrative's stylized storytelling. Kimball discusses the creative process behind Hippo, its unique storytelling approach, and uncovers what makes this film a standout in modern indie cinema. And as always, I hope you enjoy what we have to talk about.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, you too. Thank you for taking the time today.
Of course. Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Just I have to say, I loved the movie. I thought it was it's a very difficult movie to describe. How would you describe the movie, just as succinctly as possible?
Totally. Oh man. I need to get like a good elevator pitch for it because you're right. It is so hard to describe. But I honestly like one of the synopsises I've seen for the film, I feel like is very accurate. It says like something about like a brother or a young, I'm going to butcher it, but it says something about like two step siblings struggled to come of age under the roof of a mother who's been institutionalized at least once. And so in the 1990s or whatever. But imagine 1990s America and imagine a very schizophrenic family, mainly indoors. And there you have Hippo.
Yes, it's the way sort of tonally, I would describe it as a blue-collar Wes Anderson film, or it's like a blue-collar Wes Anderson film. Is that a tone you were going? Because it's a very distinctive tone.
Yes, yeah. Honestly, what's funny is I think it was an inspiration, I think for sure, but it was weirdly one of the ones we weren't thinking about as much at the time. I think what's funny is at the time we were mainly thinking about like we need to talk about Kevin, and we were thinking about I'm a huge fan of Brady Corbet. I think he's like a master, and right now he's really having a ton of success, well deserved with The Brutalist. And I think he's just like a god of filmmaking. But his film before this, Vox Lux, I also believed totally deserved so much more attention. But what in Vox Lux, he has this great narration by Willem Dafoe carrying the movie. And I think that was another big inspiration. But what's funny is because of the humor of Hippo, it's not like we were planning for it to be so serious, but it ended up being so much more whimsical. And so then it really had like a Royal Tenenbaums type thing about it. Like it did go very Wes Anderson, and the shots as well. And I think we weren't expecting it, but it was like a very welcome, like we were like, oh wait, this is very Wes Anderson in like a dark, evil way,
Yes. A very dark, evil way.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
Yeah, the thing is, when you sat down to write it, because obviously there's a world where this is a very dark and serious movie, and that, like you were saying, that the tone is quite whimsical. Is that the tone you were going for originally? Presumably you had the concept, then you wrote it, but you could have written it as a drama. Was that ever on the cards?
No, it's funny you say that because honestly, when we wrote it, I think we were thinking, okay, this is going to be a little bit funny. It's going to be a little bit it's going to be a dark comedy. But in my brain, and maybe it's because I was just in actor brain and I was thinking about how dark and serious the character is, I was really thinking this is like a psychological thriller mainly. Like this is like a family drama, but it'll have funny moments. And so on set, I remember taking it very seriously. Not in like an insane way, but you're playing a sociopath, and so you're like, I want to be very in this, and so you're taking it so seriously, like it's Shakespeare. And I think the whole cast was doing that. And so when you add that to black and white, and you're seeing like the dailies, and you're seeing it in black and white, you're like, okay, this is like a Shakespearean drama, like Hamlet. And then it's like, because you're taking it so seriously as the character, I think it makes the writing even more funny because the characters have no idea that what they're saying is so funny. And they're saying it so seriously. And so I think in that sense, if we were leaning in and really playing for the joke, then it might not be as funny. So it's such a weird mix. I think we definitely knew it would be funny, but I think it came out funnier than we thought because we were also taking it so seriously.
Well, that's it. I mean, your performance in particular is incredibly deadpan, and
Yeah.
and in fact, not to kind of embarrass you or blow smoke or anything, but you reminded me of a young Johnny Depp whilst I was
Oh, thank
watching.
you. That's so awesome. Thank you.
Just
I love, and his stuff, like, I like his work in the '90s, like, oh man, like, like Edward Scissorhands, like, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So thank you. That's very, like, he's amazing.
yeah, no, but it was that sort of the tone that you were delivering, but also the fact that you had a mastery of the ridiculous dialogue, yet deliver it incredibly deadpan straight. So I thought that was great.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Yeah, I love that. Like, it's such a funny mix because, yeah, like, you're getting it's such an interesting mix because you're getting a look into such a dark world and such dark characters, specifically Hippo, but you're seeing it through this lens that is funny, and I think the narration helps guide that. Where you're like, I think if you took out the narration, maybe then it would be a much much darker film because you're like, what's going on in the mind of these characters? But because the narrator is bringing you into the world and telling you what's going on in their brains, and he's even cracking slight deadpan jokes himself here and there, it like disarms you a bit. And so you're like, okay, I guess I can laugh at this, even though what I'm laughing at is so dark. And so like it welcomes you to kind of laugh at any and everything, and like nothing's off the table in this film.
And Eric Roberts' narration is phenomenal. I mean,
Good.
one of the I thought it was a hoot. In fact, I couldn't believe it was Eric Roberts sort of delivering just the
Right?
tone. Fantastic.
So good. And his voice has such like a rich like timbre to it. Like it's this got like this gravelly, like, you can almost picture him like in a rocking chair, like reading you this book, and it's like a fable. Like that's the way his voice is. It's so great.
And I mean, he obviously does the narration. His wife Eliza plays
So
your
good.
mother. How do you get both of them? What was the process behind that?
What's cool is before this we did a short film together, and it was in the pandemic, and it was the first thing me and Mark worked on together. It was called Andronicus, and it's similar to Hippo in ways, but it's in color. It's framed similarly because it's the same DP, very talented William Babcock. But it's a much darker story. It's not as funny. And so in that one, Eliza and Eric played my parents, and at the time it was during the pandemic, and you there was a lot sets were so much stricter because of the pandemic, and so particularly for intimate scenes which the parents had, it was hard to find actors that be able to, like, have that kind of scene and have that kind of chemistry because of COVID. And so we really lucked out. We got Eric and Eliza, and they're both so talented. And not only that, but because they're a real couple, they had such great chemistry for that film. And so after that, when we became really close friends with them, and when we were writing this, we were like, I feel like the mom should be Eliza. And then we were I think at the beginning I think narration was always there from the beginning, but all I know is the second the narration came about, we were like, we should have Eric narrate this because he just has such a rich voice, and so luckily it was a very easy phone call, and Eliza was just very ecstatic about it, and so was Eric, and they're just the best to work with.
No, I think both phenomenal. I mean, everyone, like I said, in the movie is fantastic, but I think it's so rich and again so twisted in kind of a
Yes.
very funny way.
It's so twisted. It's so twisted. Yeah, it's and I'm glad like people are connecting with it because it's like you do get nervous going into it. Like it's like, of course, like we wrote it together, and I think like hopefully a filmmaker should write the movie that they want to see. And so we wrote this together knowing, okay, this is the movie that we want to see. But as you're going into it, you are nervous because you're like, are we taking this too far? Like we're like, it's the super soaker scene. It makes you wonder. Like, I love it. I think it's a great scene. But before filming, you're like, is this crazy to do this in a movie? Like, is this going to be rated X? And but so you definitely have some like nervous like apprehensions before doing it. But I think it turned out much better than I could have imagined, and I'm very thankful for how it all turned out.
And once you've written it, obviously you've got to go and sort of raise financing for it, and then
Yeah.
you've got to try and get distribution. How did the funders react when you kind of went, "Hey, here's my script," and how did the distributors act when you went, "Hey, here's my movie"?
So what's funny is like we took the script around to a few people that mainly the people that Mark knew, and at the time there was people that were interested, and I we got like a little bit of pieces here and there from friends that Mark had, but it was hard to raise all of the financing because it is such an insane movie. And so Mark's mom actually was like the real champion of the movie, and she helped get a loan that helped us like finish the movie. And so really she kind of became the producer. It really is like such a family movie. And not only that, but we filmed the movie at Mark's grandma's house in State College, and she had a lot of that Jesus decoration stuff there already because she loves Jesus, and nothing wrong with that. But she, but she, so it really became a family affair, and it was really exciting. And similarly, distributing it, it's another situation where because it's such an insane movie, like we did get a few offers out of Fantasia and out of some other festivals, but they just weren't offers that we like really clicked with, and we wanted the best thing for the movie, so it's sort of being self-distributed, and we're trying to take it around ourselves. And I think luckily people are connecting with it, and it's opening up doors to have it in theaters and places, because it's one of those movies where I think once you see it, it is very unlike something you've seen, and people immediately talk about it, and they talk about it in a way where they're like, I think even maybe I'm wrong, but I think even the people that don't like it, at least so far when I check Letterbox and things, they say if they don't like it, they maybe say this isn't for me, but I can see how other people might be interested in this because it's so bizarre. Um, and so luckily it is connecting with audiences, and I'm very excited about that.
Well, I mean, it is so fresh. I mean, we're kind of a week away from another Dwayne Johnson's winter blockbuster CGI
Literally.
fest that looks,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is such a breath of fresh air. I mean, it's a
Thank
really
you.
good thing to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, like it's like between like and it's like it's true like all love to Dwayne, but he does churn out a lot of those like red ones or whatever they're like. He does have like a new blockbuster coming out, and that's the thing is a lot of blockbusters in general, it's just like so hard to find heart in those,
Yeah.
and so obviously so the best place to find that is indie filmmaking, and I just think it's so important for everyone to just make the film that they would want to see, because then you do find audiences that connect with it, and it's such a refreshing thing to go see something and be like, wow, like I see myself in this. And not that you want to see yourself in Hippo in that way, but like, but an audience, an audience should connect and feel like Roger Ebert has some good quote where I'm going to butcher it, but he says something about like when a movie's working and it's really working, you're in there with the characters and you're not thinking about where the car is parked and like the babysitter that you got and whatever else, and like your life outside of it, you're just thinking about the movie. And I think a good movie that's made with heart, that if you're it's like not even thinking about the audience in that sense, but thinking about yourself as the audience, then you're going to find an audience later. And I think that's what a lot of blockbusters are missing.
Definitely, and I mean, like you said, this does have heart. It's a very heartfelt movie, even though you kind of on it superficially you think this is a bit strange. But I mean, everybody cares about everybody else in a weird way that you know
Yeah.
it just they have a strange way of showing it.
Yes, yes. Like there is like a real family love there. Like Hippo does love Ethel, his mom. He does love Buttercup. He's just going about everything all wrong. And Buttercup has had a hard upbringing, and they both had hard upbringings. And the mom had a stint in the mental hospital. And like they've all gone through the ringer, this whole family. But there is like a love there. So it has like its sweet moments for sure. It's a great Thanksgiving movie.
I mean, it's definitely one to watch with your parents.
Definitely. Then that will be a memorable experience, turning it on with your parents for sure. Believe me, I had to show my parents this, and it's a wild thing to be like, "Hey, this is your son," you definitely have moments where you're like stepping out of the room to go like get a snack, and particularly it's the Super Soaker scene where you step out of the room, for me at least.
I can imagine that must have been a very a fun one.
Yeah.
Especially when they go, "Oh, can I read the script before?"
Yeah, you're like, no, yeah, totally. Like they're asking, like, what's it about? And you're like, just wait and see, just wait and see.
Yeah, I can't do justice in words,
Yeah. You will not. Yeah, hearing about it in word form will freak you out. Seeing it might freak you out, but maybe you'll appreciate the artistry. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. And just finally, before we go, you're doing the promo for this. What's the next for you?
Totally. So lots of exciting things in the works. So first up with me and Mark, we wrote a few more films. We're trying to get one off the ground now that we're hoping to shoot in Charleston in January, called Godhead. And it's that one's going to be really fun. It's like all takes place in a church. It's this crazy thriller, weird thing. But since Hippo, I filmed a lot of fun indies that are hopefully going to find an audience in the next, or do festivals in the next few months. I did this film called Mouse with Kenny Riches, this Sundance filmmaker that I'm really excited about, and Queens of the Dead with George Romero's daughter, Tina Romero, which was really cool. And right now I'm in the middle of filming this horror film that's with a really cool team of people. That's really exciting. So there will be more things in the works and things coming up that I'm really excited about.
Well, I look forward to them all. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed this one, and enjoyed your performance. So yeah, hopefully we do this again down the line sometime.
Totally, yeah. Thank you so much. I'm really excited. Yeah, hopefully we see each other in the next 6 months to a year. I feel like we will.
Yeah, definitely. And but again, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Movies in Focus podcast. You can download it wherever you get your podcasts, and I hope that you tell your friends about it. That's it for this time, and I'll see you at the movies.